Hey everyone. Damn it, I started it and it just hit 4,400. Now I need to like change the title of the video. I started it and right as I started the video, it hit 4,400. So I don't know if we can say $4,400 watch party now because we just saw it hit 4,400. Can I edit the title? Can I say $4,500 watch party? All right, we're at 4,400. Let me change the damn title. $4,500 watch party, right? Let's just kick it up $100. What's $100? So we're looking at a $4,400 Ethereum. This is not a drill. This is certainly not a drill. I always wondered what a $4,400 Ether would feel like, and here we are. So let me grab the link here, and we'll post it in a couple different places. Okay. Yeah, the thumbnail the thumbnail is an old one because I basically just had to pick one really quick. Um, Let me grab the okay. All right. So Ethereum is now trading for $43.94. We already hit $4,400, so check. We can cross that off of our list. And we will continue going. How are you guys feeling tonight? All right, so Ethereum is now trading for 43.87. If we go look here at the minute time frame, which why the hell wouldn't we look at the minute time frame? We're on a live stream. What the hell else are we gonna do here? If we look at the minute time frame, we can see that we went up to 44.02. Okay, so Ethereum has made it to $4,400. Congratulations. Okay, we definitely have a new all-time high. And onward we go. If we get a pullback, no one really cares, right? You guys know the drill at this point. Pullbacks are normal, blah, blah, blah. They're, to be expected if we have them. If we don't have them, then that's why you DCA, right? That's why you DCA. And you don't try to get too fancy timing things because no one can really time things that well. And we just admit to ourselves that we are too incompetent to time things perfectly. And we have no issues, right? So we are now at 43.92. Let's take a look at, we'll switch this over to, we'll have a longer time frame one here as well. Let's go to the weekly chart on this one. And, I've talked about this before. It's kind of interesting. It's fairly dubious. Again, I would not try this at home. But if you overlay the Bitcoin logarithmic regression band on the Ethereum chart, it actually turns out that the lower bound logarithmic regression band for Bitcoin might just in fact be an indicator for a potential market cycle peak. Okay? If you look at the last market cycle, the peak occurred in the regression band. Okay, close to the middle one, not quite there. To give you an idea of where that is today, right? If you give it an idea of where it is today, then the middle is corresponding. Right now, it would correspond to an extremely modest, and I mean modest, $16,910. Okay. Look, as far as I'm concerned, I want Ethereum to take its sweet time. Take its sweet time to get wherever the hell it's going. I don't really want it to get there too quickly because I don't want to have to usher in a long bear market, right? So I would prefer it to just take its sweet time and just, continue along for a while. But if we make it to that level, let's say we make it to that level within, say, 6 months or 12 months or however long it takes us, that could be a market cycle peak, right? It could be a market cycle peak if we come up to that area. Again, I wouldn't try this at home. It's very dubious to speculate that the lower bound Bitcoin regression band is going to act as the peak again. Just because it did once doesn't mean it'll do it again. Doesn't mean it won't, right? Doesn't mean it won't work. I would say there's a decent chance it will work, considering that the lower bound is only at 11,444. So it seems like it is certainly a possibility. I guess I did forget to draw the chimney, which you guys are complaining about, which I guess makes sense. You got to give the Ethereum price room to run if it makes it into the house. We got to welcome it home. We can put a bike in the house, I guess. We're not putting any fancy cars in at this point because the opportunity cost is just so damn high. So there's our super fancy bike. All right. What's another? There's another crypto. I actually put out a public video on it today for the first time. We've been talking about it on the premium list for a while, and that's Matic. And Matic is approaching. It's at 215, but we, just a few weeks ago we saw it at around $1. Now it's gone up 100% in about a month, right? I mean, if we go just look at monthly candles on Matic, it's up 91% this month, 91% in October, right? In October, Matic is up 91%. Not a bad take. I mean, I don't know that anyone's getting out of bed for a 91% move. But it is a fairly interesting move by Matic, and I do expect Matic to actually go much higher than this area. If you want to know, I mean, I feel like a $10 Matic is certainly possible this market cycle. Obviously, this assumes that Bitcoin stays relatively healthy, which over the long term, over the market cycle, we would imagine it would stay relatively healthy. I do think there's a lot more upside for Matic for the market cycle. Also DOT as well. DOT is a champ. I mean, look at this move since July. It's just continuing to move higher and higher and higher. I think DOT is a solid project. Link at 31.34. Yeah, it's doing okay against the US dollar, obviously, and it still leaves a little bit to be desired against its Ethereum valuation. Hopefully we got lucky and this is just the despair phase of the Link Ether valuation, but that remains to be seen at this point, so let's just take it one day at a time. The dollar, fortunately for us, got rejected off the 100-week SMA, so that's something you at least can take to the bank, at least in the short term, is that it got rejected. That's good for the stock market, that's good for Bitcoin, it's good for crypto in general. You go look at the Dow Jones, you go look at the S&P, they're both putting in new all-time highs. I don't know where the bears went that were calling for a major bear market, both in the crypto space and in the stock market, because the dollar was rallying. We said, well, let's hold on a second. What if it gets rejected off the 100-week? And here we are a few weeks later, and in fact, it got rejected off the 100-week SMA. So let's just see what happens here. We are coming up on the end of October. Okay, we're going into November. November could be a good month. I mean, November was a good month last year for Ethereum. If you go look at what happened in November last year, actually, interestingly enough, it didn't put in a new all-time high, but what it did do is it put in a new local high, especially on these weekly candles. And November we can see is when Ethereum really started to pick up here. You know, it started off November at around $400, and by the end of November, we were trading for about $600. Coincidentally, as we enter in November this time, we are literally up 10x from that valuation. So if we were to continue to emulate what happened last year at the same time, then maybe we'd be looking at 6K ETH by the end of November. I don't know. I mean, it certainly seems like it'd be harder to move the market cap, so we might not be quite that high, but it certainly is within the realm of possibility once we get a breakout, start to see a move. I mean, I would expect some resistance at 5K. With that said, I fully expect Ethereum to blow past 5K this market cycle. I don't think 5K is the market cycle peak. I don't think 6K is the market cycle peak. At this stage, I would assume, honestly, that the market cycle peak for Ethereum is probably over 10,000, just because of how strong it has been over the last year. I think Ethereum has been incredibly strong, and I think it's only going to keep growing. So I think 10K seems like a really conservative target, and it's probably going to overshoot 10K by 2x potentially. I mean, 20K ETH I think would be the market cycle top. if we made it there within the next 6 months. If we don't make it there within the next 6 months and it's a slower move up where we go up to say 6 or 7K and spend some time there, that's good, right? That's good for the market. You guys just need to control yourselves and not FOMO in when things are going parabolic, and maybe we don't have to experience such a brutal bear market so quickly. But if the market does not do that, which it probably won't, then we probably will have a brutal bear market at some point, because that is the nature. That's just human nature to overreact, both to the upside and to the downside. All right, right now we're looking at a very modest $4,400 ETH. Let's see if we can come into our garage, maybe take the bicycle out for a spin. Let's go back over here. Let's see where the bull market support band is on Ethereum. And if I could find it, oh, it's already on there. What am I thinking? All right, the bull market support band for Ethereum is already at 3,052 up to 3,200. We got nothing but wiggle room on that. I mean, Ethereum could theoretically drop like 30% and still be above the bull market support band. So we definitely have a lot of wiggle room there. Nothing to be overly concerned about. If we go look at the Ethereum logarithmic regression rainbow and see where we currently are, as I said before, I think that we should easily, I would say the top of the purple line is that's a conservative estimate for a market cycle peak. That would be a very conservative estimate. And that level is already, it's already at $7,400. I would speculate there's a non-negligible chance that we make it up to this logarithmic regression band this cycle. And that one today is already closing in on $14,000. And again, it is going up each and every day. So if you don't like a 14K ETH, just remember that the longer it takes us to get there, the higher that target should theoretically be. Okay, so just keep that in mind. How are you guys doing tonight? What is considered this cycle? I basically, before we have like a 70 or 80% drop in the market that we are unable to recover from for a couple of years. Yeah, keep your eyes on Matic. This is sort of one that's kind of sneaking up somewhat quietly up to the prior all-time high. Prior all-time high on Matic is close to $3, okay? So on Matic, we have a little bit of time to go. It seems like we will make it to a new all-time high at some point. It's just a matter of time. Right, it's just a matter of time. It's almost, you could say it's automatic that we should make it to an all-time high. But we could still have a ways to go here, especially if Bitcoin and Ethereum get a pullback, as Ethereum is now at 4,400. Clearly, breaking up to 4,500 would be ideal, because if we just get rejected at $4,400, people are still going to say, well, it still doesn't really look like a new all-time high. Technically, it's a new all-time high, of course, and of course, being technically correct is the best way to be correct. But when you look at it on a chart in the future, you would ideally like to see it well above $4,400. All right, Ethereum's still trying to fight. It's still trying to battle to get to that back to the $4,400 level. We already did make it to $4,400 in case you guys missed it. Someone says, why are we pumping on low volume? I've heard people say that ever since Bitcoin was at 29K. It kind of shows that you can pump on low volume. What are people going to say? We can't pump on low volume all the way to 100K? Come on. Right? The proof is in the pudding, and we pumped on low volume more or less from 29K to 60 to 67K. Off and on. Sometimes we had higher volume, but I've seen it every week. People say, well, we don't have volume. We're still moving higher. Someone says, is that meant to be a car? No, it's a bicycle. We can't we can't afford cars at this point in the market cycle because the opportunity cost is too high. It's too high. Someone says that's a dubious looking bike. Yeah, maybe, maybe. What are some I'm just gonna check the top coins and see which ones are pumping here. Yeah, I mean Polygon Matic is up 17% on the day, so that's looking pretty good. Uh, Doge is up 26%. I mean, there it goes again, right? It's one of those ones that really sort of never lets never lets you down in terms of giving you those nice pumps occasionally. I mean, I think it kind of makes sense considering that you got these other coins, the other meme coins pumping like she. I mean, you have these other ones pumping, so I think it makes some sense that you're going to see these kind of follow suit to some degree. It's currently trading just around 30 cents or so. What else? Let's see, what else is moving here? Um, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Dot actually start to make a move. I mean, it's looking okay. It's at $43, but we've gotten somewhat used to these prices, right? We're kind of used to a $40 dot. We want to see a $50 dot, a $60 dot. So it's hard. I feel like for me right now, like I mean, I'm happy with a $43 dot because you can earn rewards pretty easily. So you're making money even if the price isn't doing anything. But we really want to see it break out above. I would say above $60. And I don't know. I mean, it could still take us a month or two to get there. I do think we will make it there. But we need a bit more time. Let's see what else is moving. So Ethereum is up 11%. All right, BNB is up 10%. That one typically does fairly well, so no surprise there. Solana's up 8%, so Solana's at $200. Polkadot's up 6%. XRP is even up 7.6%. So the market's doing relatively well. Even if XRP's, what's Litecoin doing? My guess is bleeding against Bitcoin. That's what it normally does. Let's go see. Yeah. More or less just continuing to bleed. The long bleed, of course. Yeah, someone else said Ethereum hit an all-time high. It did. It did. We would like to more decisively do it, right? I mean, like, yeah, I hit a new all-time high, and then it came back down so far. So yeah, look, let's see if we can break to 4,500. That would be, I think, a little bit more ideal than just going up to 4,402 and then coming back down. Someone says you tweeted about wanting to know how 4,400 feels. Now, how does it feel? I mean, I guess it felt pretty good, but we only got it for like a second or two, so I didn't really get to savor it as long as I wanted to. Yeah, it looks like we got rejected by the bike tire. Yeah, we'll go take a quick look at VeChain. I like to look at its evaluation against Ethereum to see where it looks. I'm still going to speculate here that it's look. I don't know. Like at the end of the day, I don't know. I'm just sort of dubiously speculating. But if it were to drop back down to this region, then it might be a good trade. If it doesn't drop down there and comes back up here, then so be it, right? The trade doesn't present itself. What we've seen here, we've seen these, these moves from one up, getting slightly longer each time. See the pattern. So coming down to the bottom, then back up to the top, back down to the bottom, even higher, back down to the bottom, even higher. Dot's at 43. Will I tell you when we can get out of bed? Maybe. Probably. Not yet. I should probably pull Bitcoin out just to kind of keep an eye on it. I mean, it says 61K. It would be kind of nice if we could close the month above the prior monthly close. That would be kind of ideal. And in order to do that, we need to close above 58.8. So we're looking pretty good so far. As long as we close above 58.8, then we have a new monthly close high. We still have we still have like 3 days to go. But that's what we're looking for here with the monthly close on Bitcoin. Dot's moving a little bit. It just pumped like 30 cents. Make sure you guys subscribe and give the video a thumbs up if you guys like the content. All right, what else do you guys want to talk about? Someone says, is 30K possible for Ethereum this year? If you mean in the next 2 months, I would say highly unlikely. Highly likely not going to happen in the next 2 months. Not 30K. 30K is too high. 30K is too high even for Ethereum to go within the next 2 months. So no, I don't think a 30K ETH is happening this year. What's a reasonable Ethereum price for Ethereum this year? I mean, I think it could go higher than where it is now. I mean, of course, let's assume that Bitcoin stays relatively healthy for the next couple of months. But if it does, I would speculate that Ethereum it could make it to. I don't think it'll break 10K this year. It may probably early next year. But I mean, it could definitely trend higher than where it is. I mean, 5K, 6K, maybe 7 or 8K. It's possible for it to go. I mean, we saw Ethereum pump 2x back in Q4 2020. So yeah, it's certainly possible that it could do that again. Obviously, that depends on what Bitcoin does. Okay, I mean, if Bitcoin dumps tomorrow or something, then yeah, I mean, everything kind of rolls back for a while. But as long as Bitcoin stays healthy, I don't see any reason why Ethereum can't move, to 5K, 6K, and we'll see where we go from there. And we'll take it one step at a time. But I don't think Ethereum can make it to 30K this year. Someone asked me about that. I don't think 30K is possible this year. Do I think a 20K ETH? I think a 20K ETH is possible next year. Yeah, it's possible. I'd say it is possible. I don't know if it'll happen, but I would say that it is theoretically possible. Someone says, why am I always so conservative with predictions? Well, why don't you ask the Bitcoin Moon Boys how their 300K ETH predictions are by September have worked out for them. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but by September, Ethereum was closer to 30K than it was to 300K. So I think it's better. I personally think it's better to put out conservative predictions and then be pleasantly surprised if you're wrong than to continue to overpromise crazy predictions, and then when they don't pan out how you want, you just blame it on market manipulation or something. I'd prefer to just be conservative and say no, it's just the market, and people are going to take profits along the way. If it outperforms what we think is a conservative prediction, then it's just bonus points, right? Who cares? I'd rather be conservative than be super optimistic. Why do I hate Litecoin? I don't hate Litecoin. I hate Litecoin's returns. Let's be clear. I don't hate Litecoin. I hate its returns compared to the rest. A lot of the major players, like Litecoin against Bitcoin, Litecoin against Ethereum. If all it's going to do is bleed against them, then what's the point? Maybe the time to load up on Litecoin, actually, if there's one time to load up on it, it usually tends to be about 6 months before Litecoin's halving. So what's that going to be in 2023? So yeah, I mean, if you feel like you need to ride Litecoin, typically loading up on it maybe about 6 months before the Litecoin halving tends to work out pretty well. Like maybe you'll get like a 2 or 3x out of it or something. But that's still, you'll probably see Litecoin trend up with time. Even this cycle, like even this market cycle, we'll still probably see Litecoin trend up with time. But the problem is that everything else is going to trend up probably quicker than Litecoin. Someone says they want to see me with a buzz cut. Just go back and watch my videos from like 6 months ago, and you'll see exactly what you're looking for. What do I expect with Cardano? Like I told you guys, I mean, I even have it drawn on the chart, and it hasn't changed. I told you guys what to expect with Cardano a million times, right? Expect it to not do anything until somewhere in mid to late November until mid to late March. I think this is probably where ADA's gonna break out to the upside, and at some point in this area. And I said that back over here, by the way. I said we're probably going to break out in anticipation of smart contracts. We'll drop after it. No one likes to hear that part. We'll drop after it, and we're going to have to spend several months in a long bleed/accumulation phase. Okay, and I stand by that. I think I think ADA's just in a long accumulation phase. And in September, when I said it's going to take until at least mid-November to see us start a move to the upside, people didn't like that. Now that it's playing out, I mean, hopefully you guys can see what I mean. It's going to take a little while here, and then hopefully we can garnish some momentum here later on and continue higher. But yeah, right now it is bleeding on the weekly time scale. And I'm not saying it has to continue bleeding. Maybe it holds the line at the bull market support band, but I'm not expecting new all-time highs until at least a month from now, maybe beyond that. Maybe beyond that. Somewhere in this area is where I'm expecting ADA to start doing something, to exit the why does ADA not do anything phase. So I think we still have a few weeks to go. That doesn't mean ADA can't go to like 250 or something. I just don't think it's going to go to like $4 or $5 anytime soon. We need several more weeks before we'll start to see a sustained and confident uptrend, I think. All right, Ethereum's at a very modest 43.81. Someone says the Ada Racehorse broke a leg. No, it's just taking a. It took a yellow flag, I think, for a lap. Just took a flag for a lap. You gotta give it time. What's the exit strategy on Matic? I don't know. I mean, hopefully you take profits if it goes parabolic. Yeah, I would say time is still on our side. Remember, my thinking on this market cycle, as I've said for 3 years now, right? 3 years, is that I think the market cycle peak will be approximately 10 trillion. About 10 trillion, plus or minus a few trillion, right? And what's a few trillion among friends? But somewhere around 10 trillion, and it's going to take us a while to get there. Okay, if we get there this year, we probably won't make it to 10 trillion. We might have if we have a market cycle peak this year, it probably won't be at 10 trillion. If it goes into next year, it's more likely to be at 10 trillion. Depending on how long it goes, it could go well above 10 trillion. But I would say 10 trillion plus or minus a few trillion. It's going to take us a while to get there. Just buckle up and enjoy the ride. Where are the chairs? What chairs? What are you talking about? Why does my room look so blank? Because it is blank. There's nothing really in here. All right, there's nothing really in this. It's a pretty empty room. It's a pretty empty room. As I've said before, the opportunity cost is too damn high. This is the phase where I'm just focused on crypto, right? I'm focused on crypto at this point. At the end of the market cycle, I'll try to upgrade my setup. Again, I'm still using cardboard boxes for my desk. They're actually holding these like glass plates up. But literally they're sitting on cardboard boxes. I will actually get a nice desk at some point, but at this point, I would still say the opportunity cost is too high, and we don't have time for that. We don't have time for a new desk or anything. That'll be something I'll do when we get into the end of the market cycle. Once we hit a market cycle top, I'll look into getting a new desk, because at that point, then the opportunity cost isn't so high, right? You can cash out a few satoshis or something at that point and get a new desk, but at this point, I would still say the opportunity cost is too high. Someone said I should turn out the lights. That's a good point. The electricity is eating up some money. Do you think, this is a good question. Do you think we will ever see a sub 2K ETH ever again? Is it theoretically possible it goes to 2K? Yeah, it's possible Ethereum could go to 2K. Do I think it'll go to 2K again? Probably not. Yeah, I don't think so. I could be wrong about that. Again, I've been wrong about plenty of things in my life. Let's not pretend like I haven't been wrong about anything. Buying XRP right before the SEC launched their investigation was a great example of being wrong. But I would say it's probably not ever going to go to 2K again. If Bitcoin drops to 30K, then yeah, Ethereum's going to go to 2K again. So keep that in mind. But I would say I think that the next market cycle bottom for Ethereum is probably around, maybe the current prices. Maybe 3 to 4K is probably where the next market cycle bottom for Ethereum is. I guess the one way I could be wrong is if this is a double top, right? If Bitcoin more or less just has a double top cycle, and then it goes back down to say 30K, if it goes back down to 30K or something, then yeah, it's possible Ethereum could go back to 2K. But I personally don't think Ethereum will go back to 2K. Okay, so I hope I kind of outlined that. While it is theoretically possible we go to 2K, I don't think it's going to happen. You might say, well, aren't you sort of hedging yourself? That way you can say, well, I think there's a distinction. I would say that it's not theoretically possible in my mind that Ethereum could go to $200, right, or $300 or $400. That's impossible. I think those valuations are just simply impossible at this point. There's going to be so much buying pressure way above those levels that I don't think Ethereum could ever go back to those prices. It could theoretically go to 2K in the event of a catastrophic Bitcoin dump, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think we will have a catastrophic Bitcoin dump, but I don't think that dump is going to come until we reach much higher prices than we are today. Could we have pullbacks by Bitcoin 10, 20, 30%? Yeah, we could. I mean, we could go back down to the 40K to 50K region. We could go back down to 50K. We could go to those levels. But even if we went to those levels, Ethereum's not going to go back to 2K. In order for Ethereum to go back to 2K, you'd have to see a Bitcoin that's trading for like $30,000. And I think that is highly unlikely to happen. But because it's theoretically possible for Bitcoin to go to 30K, then we cannot completely discount a 2K ETH. But I'm sort of navigating the market assuming that it's not, we're not going to go back to 2K. That's sort of what I'm thinking. I mean, if you look at the bull market support band on Ethereum, it's currently at $3,000, just above 3K. So I mean, even in the event of a dump, I would hope that would sort of be the bottom line where we would hold the line more or less. And I guess you could kind of come slightly below it, but that's sort of what I would be looking for the Ether USD valuation to hopefully hold the line at the bull market support band if it were to drop back down. Someone says, do they always have to be modest? I thought about that when I first started this channel. I was like, well, what's a way? Because see, here's the thing. I'll try to explain my thinking behind using the word modest so you guys understand why I say it. Back in 2019, I was trying to think like, okay, well, how can we knew that crypto was very likely going to trend higher through the market cycle. And that it's hard for people to get accustomed to higher prices, right? It's hard when, like, say, ADA is trading for 2 cents to get accustomed to a $1 ADA or a $2 ADA. It's hard when Ethereum is trading for $80 once upon a time a year ago or a year and a half ago to then get accustomed to an Ethereum trading over $4,000. So I sort of just thought, it's like, well, if we say the word modest, then it sort of implies that there's still theoretically room to move higher. So I thought it could be a good way to sort of inform people that, hey, a 4K ETH, while it is up more than 10x from the market cycle bottom, we still have a decent way to go. So I would say that not all prices will be modest, okay? But so far, this market cycle, because I still think we have a ways to go this market cycle, I would argue that the prices are still relatively modest compared to where I think they're going to go. The time will come. Yeah, the time will come this cycle where I'm going to become the bad guy again. And I don't like being the bad guy, but you guys love to troll me when I have to do it. And I'll welcome it once again, just like I did back in April, right? Just like back in April when I said, look, we need to calm down for a while back in April. I said, we got to have 3 to 6 months, right? Give us 3 to 6 months of a lull in the market. People didn't like it. We're going to have that phase again at some point, and people aren't going to like it again. But I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear, because I don't really care what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. And at some point, we'll reach that phase again where I think we need to go down for a while. I don't think that phase is today, but we will reach that phase again. And when that phase comes, everyone's going to hate me for it, right, for saying it. But I'm going to say it anyways because, I mean, that's just what we do, right? We stick to the data and we go with it. I mean, even at this point, I mean, it's certainly possible we could come back down. But even if we do, I still think we have relatively clear skies ahead, whether we go above it now or whether we get rejected in the short term and then go higher. I'd still say we have relatively clear skies ahead for Bitcoin. I think it makes some sense, right? That we're struggling at this point, and we could struggle at these levels for a while. Okay, I mean, let's not assume that we immediately have to break it. We could struggle at them for a while, and if we do, so be it. But as far as I'm concerned, we did hold the line at the bull market support band, and our thesis was that after we hold the line, we should have clear skies ahead. And so far, we put in a new all-time high, so I'd say our thesis was correct. We did have clear skies ahead. Now, I guess there are a couple clouds that we have to get through in terms of this distribution phase that we had earlier in the year. But I do think Bitcoin will ultimately prevail and break out to the upside, whether it means if it does it now, whether it means maybe it does it and then comes back down and tests it as support and then goes higher, or even if it comes down in the short term and then trends higher. I still would argue that Bitcoin should theoretically have relatively clear skies ahead at this point. Someone said Matic Pete. I don't know, man. You can't look at hourly candles and call it a peak. I mean, well, maybe you could be right, but I don't think you can necessarily look at hourly candles and be super confident that it's a peak. All right. Well, unfortunately, we're not rallying to $4,500 at the moment, so we might have a little bit more work to do. We're now at 43.53. So why don't we go ahead and wrap it up? We got rejected here on our first attempt. Maybe we'll come in through the door later on, but we at least watched it. I mean, at the very beginning of the video, we at least saw it hit $4,400. So at least we got that on tape. Remember to check out we do have a Telegram channel if you guys want to check it out. Actually, I'm going to link you guys to the alerts channel so you guys can join that if you want. Make sure you guys check that out. We also do have the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com if you guys want to know how I'm navigating the markets. And then finally, we do have those NFTs if you guys want to pick one up. We'll leave those live for just 2 or 3 more days. So go check those out. All right, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. If you're not subscribed, give the video a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Bye.